Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, before we dive into the message of this video, I invite you to reflect on a powerful quote by G.K. Chesterton, one of the great Christian thinkers of the 20th century. The world will never be short of wonders, only of a sense of wonder. Written in 1908 in his classic work Orthodoxy, this phrase resonates with an impressive depth in our present day. Chesterton wrote Orthodoxy during a time of intense social change and spiritual challenges, a period when materialism and skepticism were gaining strength. Today, more than a century later, we face similar challenges: constant distractions, an increasingly secularized society, and a gradual loss of our ability to marvel at the everyday blessings God grants us. The message you are about to hear is a call for us to rediscover the extraordinary in the ordinary, to open our eyes to the beauty that surrounds us and that we often overlook in the hustle and bustle of daily life. More than that, it is an invitation to take action, so that, as Chesterton inspires us, we may live with hearts open to wonder, allowing the light of Christ to shine in every aspect of our lives. Get ready to be motivated and challenged to live with greater intensity and purpose, embracing the simplicity and depth of Christian life. May this message inspire you to seek the extraordinary that God has placed in every detail of your life and to share this light with the world around you. Let us together, with renewed hearts full of hope, live the gospel with more passion and purpose. May God bless each one of you. Have you ever wondered why ordinary days seem to slip through our fingers? As if in the midst of the rush and daily tasks, we forget to appreciate the little things that make up our lives? Chesterton, with his unique wisdom, offers us a key to rediscovering the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. In Orthodoxy, he observes that the world will never be short of wonders, only of a sense of wonder. This phrase reveals a profound truth. The world around us is full of beauties and mysteries that we often ignore, simply because we have become accustomed to them. Chesterton believed that the simplicity of everyday life, often overlooked in the search for something greater or more exciting, is actually an inexhaustible source of wonder. He invites us to look at life through the eyes of a child, for whom every detail is new and fascinating. Children have a natural ability to be enchanted by the simplest things: a sunset, a leaf falling from a tree, the sound of rain tapping on a window. For them, the world is a place full of discoveries and secrets waiting to be unveiled. Chesterton suggests that by adopting this childlike perspective, we can find deep and lasting beauty in our daily lives. However, as we grow older, we are conditioned to think that happiness and fulfillment can only be found in grand events or achievements. Modern society values the extraordinary: exotic travels, professional successes, material acquisitions. Routine, on the other hand, is seen as monotonous and uninteresting. But Chesterton challenges this view by stating that there is nothing small truly. The whole world is greater than the world we used to know. For him, true greatness lies not in grand experiences, but in the ability to see value and beauty in simple things, in what is routine and common. Over the centuries, the Bible has also taught us the importance of finding beauty and meaning in the small things of life. In Matthew 6:26-28, Jesus invites us to observe the birds of the air and the lilies of the field, which neither work nor spin, yet are provided for and dressed in splendor. He reminds us that these creatures, so simple and common, are lovingly cared for by the Creator. The message here is clear. If God cares about what seems insignificant, how much more does He care about us? And if He finds beauty in small things, why wouldn't we, created in His image, do the same? This view of everyday life as something full of beauty and purpose has profound implications for how we live. Instead of chasing after spectacular experiences, we can start to value what we have, surrounds us. Every moment, no matter how ordinary it may seem, is an opportunity to find joy and gratitude. Chesterton encourages us to look at the world with new eyes, to rediscover wonder in daily repetition, in familiarity. He asserts that repetition in the world may not be a mere recurrence. It may be a theater of the divine, infinitely diverse. This means that even in the most routine tasks, there is something new to be discovered, something that can surprise us if we are open to it. But how can we apply this perspective in our daily lives? Perhaps it is a matter of attention and presence. Instead of doing things on autopilot, we can challenge ourselves to be present in every moment. We can learn to be grateful for the simple fact that we are alive, for the air we breathe, the sunlight that warms our skin. We can choose to see beauty in everyday interactions, in exchanged smiles, in small kindnesses. Each of these moments, when lived with attention and gratitude, becomes an expression of the beauty and simplicity of life. In the end, Chesterton invites us to embrace simplicity, to rediscover the wonder and awe that are always around us. He reminds us that true wealth is not in great achievements, but in the ability to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to find joy and meaning in the small things that make up our daily lives. In doing so, we discover that life, in all its simplicity, is actually an inexhaustible source of beauty and mystery, ready to be appreciated and celebrated every day. We live in a time where the idea of greatness has been distorted in a way that is almost imperceptible, yet deeply impactful. We are bombarded daily with images and stories that exalt visible success, the accumulation of material goods, and public recognition. Social media, in particular, is a constant showcase of seemingly perfect lives, where every achievement is celebrated, every victory amplified, every detail of personal life is carefully edited to appear bigger and more significant than it really is. In this context, it becomes easy to believe that we need to achieve great things to be valued, that happiness and fulfillment are tied to reaching a certain social or financial status. However, G.K. Chesterton challenges us to rethink what it truly means to be great. In his work Orthodoxy, Chesterton makes an observation that, at first glance, may seem paradoxical, carries a profound truth. There is nothing small, truly. The whole world is greater than the world we used to know. With this statement, Chesterton invites us to look at life through a different lens, where things that seem small and insignificant are in fact full of meaning and beauty. He suggests that true greatness is not in spectacular achievements or accomplishments that draw the attention of many, but in the ability to see the intrinsic value in the small things of life. For Chesterton, the world is full of wonders waiting to be discovered, but often we blind ourselves to them in the relentless pursuit of something greater, something that stands out. Modern society, however, seems to be in constant pursuit of something grand. We are encouraged to set ever higher goals, to seek success at any cost, and to measure our worth by the number of followers, the amount of money in the bank, or the prestige we accumulate. This mentality, however, often leads to a sense of emptiness. As Chesterton said, modern man is prosperous in everything except happiness. He recognized with startling clarity that the price of relentless pursuit of greatness can be the loss of our ability to appreciate the simplicity and beauty of the everyday. Jesus offers us a similar perspective in Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. This biblical passage echoes Chesterton's message, reminding us that true satisfaction and fulfillment do not come from the frantic pursuit of success or recognition, from a life centered on eternal values, in a deep connection with God, and in a heart that values what truly matters. The invitation here is to realign our priorities, to learn to see beauty in small things, and to understand that true greatness is often invisible to the eyes of the world. Chesterton also warns us about the dangers of idolizing visible greatness. He writes, "There are two ways to get enough. One is to continue to accumulate more and more. The other is to desire less." This wisdom challenges us to question our own motivations and reflect on what truly brings us peace and contentment. It is possible that in the relentless pursuit of more, we lose the ability to be truly happy. Perhaps the key to a fulfilling life is to learn to desire less, to simplify our lives, and to find joy in what we already possess. In the end, Chesterton's message is clear. Greatness is not a matter of accumulating more, but of seeing more. It is not about conquering the world, but about rediscovering the world in its simplicity, about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. By rejecting the illusion of greatness, we can rediscover the beauty that has always been before us, in the small and seemingly insignificant things. And in doing so, we discover that true greatness lies in living a full, simple, and deeply connected life with what really matters. How many times do we find ourselves complaining about routine as if it were a burden to be carried? Waking up, working, solving problems, eating, sleeping, and repeating everything the next day. For many, routine is synonymous with monotony, something to be overcome so that real life can begin. However, G.K. Chesterton offers us a radically different perspective on the subject. Instead of seeing daily repetition as something tedious, he suggests that routine can be a hidden treasure, a gold mine from which we can extract greatness and beauty if only we change our outlook. Chesterton, in his unique way of seeing the world, challenges the notion that the new and spectacular are the only paths to fulfillment. He writes, "Repetition in the world may not be mere recurrence. It may be a theater of the divine, infinitely diverse." For him, routine is not something to be overcome, something to be embraced and appreciated. There is a kind of intrinsic beauty in repetition, a harmony that can be found in small daily tasks, as long as we approach them with the right spirit. This idea of finding value and meaning in repetition is not just an abstract philosophy. It has deep practical implications. Imagine, for example, the daily task of preparing breakfast. For many, it is just a necessity, something we do automatically without thinking. But what if we approach this task with the kind of wonder that Chesterton suggests? The act of making coffee can become a ritual of gratitude, an opportunity to give thanks for another day, for having the necessary food, and for the comfort of an established routine. Chesterton also invites us to see routine as an opportunity for spiritual growth. He believed that by doing the same things repeatedly, we have the chance to perfect our souls, to refine our patience, our discipline, and our gratitude. This reminds us of the importance of cultivating a mindset of service and devotion in everything we do, no matter how mundane or repetitive it may seem. The Bible also speaks of the importance of doing the small things well. In Luke 16:10, Jesus says, "Whoever is faithful with little is also faithful with much, and whoever is dishonest with little is also dishonest with much." This verse challenges us to see the importance of the daily tasks and small responsibilities that make up our routine. It is in the simple things that we often prove our character and strengthen our faith. Moreover, repetition and routine can bring a sense of stability and security in a world that often seems chaotic and unpredictable. Routine can be an anchor in times of storm, something that keeps us grounded when everything around us seems to be in constant flux. There is a kind of comfort and peace in knowing what to expect, in having a daily rhythm that calms and centers us. However, Chesterton warns that this stability should not turn into complacency or a mentality of autopilot. He encourages us to seek the extraordinary in the ordinary, to see each day as a new opportunity for growth and discovery. For him, each morning is a new creation, a new beginning, where the miracle of life is revealed once again. If we can adopt this vision of Chesterton, we can transform our lives. Routine will cease to be something to be feared or tolerated and will become a constant source of joy and inspiration. Each task, no matter how simple, can be an opportunity for connection with the divine, for gratitude for the gift of life, and for discovering new facets of ourselves and the world around us. Therefore, instead of resisting routine, embrace it. See it as a hidden treasure, full of possibilities for those willing to look closer. Everyday life, with all its repetitions and familiarities, has the capacity to surprise us if we allow it. It is just a matter of adjusting our gaze, seeking not novelty, but depth in every moment. After all, the true beauty of life may lie exactly where you least expect it, in the heart of the daily routine. In a world increasingly connected digitally, human relationships are paradoxically becoming more superficial. While we have hundreds, perhaps thousands of friends on social media, the depth of these relationships is often questionable. We live in an era where quantity seems to have become more important than quality, and where the success of a friendship is measured by likes and shares, rather than by authentic and meaningful moments. But writer G.K. Chesterton, with his deep and almost prophetic vision, reminds us of the true essence of relationships and the value of simple yet genuine connections truly sustain our lives. Chesterton always valued the simple things in life, and this included relationships. In his works, he highlighted the importance of maintaining true friendships, those that do not depend on appearances or secondary interests. The true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him, he wrote, emphasizing that the true bond between people is love, loyalty, and unwavering commitment. This phrase, in itself, carries enormous depth. It makes us reflect on the true motivation behind our actions towards others. We fight for those we love, not out of obligation, but out of a conscious choice to protect, support, and be present. This love that Chesterton describes is found in the simple yet deep relationships we cultivate throughout life. These are friendships that do not require grand gestures, but manifest in small acts of kindness, a word of encouragement, a hug that comforts without needing words. These bonds are what truly sustain us in times of adversity, as described in the Bible in Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, a brother is born for a time of adversity. This verse perfectly illustrates the value of these connections that, although they may seem simple, have a profound impact on our lives. However, in the midst of the hustle and bustle and complexity of modern life, it is easy to neglect these relationships. We can get lost in a relentless pursuit of success, of more connections, of a broader social network, and in the process we stop nurturing the friendships that really matter. Chesterton, with his unique vision, warns us about this trap. He believed that by focusing on the superficial, we run the risk of losing what is most valuable. For him, true wealth was not in material possessions or popularity, but in the depth of the relationships we build. But how can we, in such a fast-paced world, rediscover the value of simple relationships? Perhaps the answer lies in slowing down and reevaluating what really matters. Chesterton encourages us to prioritize time for those we love, to be truly present, to listen attentively, and to share authentic moments. It's not about grand gestures, but about small daily actions that build a solid relationship. It could be an unexpected message to a friend, a visit to a beloved relative, or simply time spent with those around us. These simple yet meaningful actions have the power to transform our lives. They remind us that, in the end, it is not possessions or status that matter, but the people with whom we share the journey. Chesterton invites us to rediscover the value of true friendship, one that withstands time and circumstances and enriches us in a way that nothing else can. It is this love, this loyalty, that really makes a difference. The simplicity of a genuine relationship is, in fact, one of the greatest riches we can possess. As Jesus teaches us in John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. The beauty of simple relationships lies in the giving, caring, constant presence. By rediscovering this simplicity, we find a path to a fuller life and more connected to what really matters. Amid the whirlwind of information, responsibilities, and expectations that dominate modern life, there is a growing sense of overwhelm, manifesting as anxiety, stress, and exhaustion. Often, it seems as if we are chasing something unattainable, perfection or success that no matter how hard we try, continues to elude us. G.K. Chesterton, in his reflections on life and society, saw this relentless pursuit as a symptom of a modern malaise, the loss of simplicity. For Chesterton, simplicity was not just a lifestyle choice, but a spiritual necessity, a way to reconnect with what is essential. He saw simplicity as a return to the roots of what makes us human, what brings us true joy and peace. In his words, simplicity is the answer to the modern world that is full of old vices and new virtues. This statement invites us to reflect on how, in our pursuit of more, we end up distancing ourselves from what truly matters. In trying to be more efficient, productive, and successful, we often sacrifice inner peace, clarity of thought, even the relationships we value most. The complexity of the modern world with its incessant demands leads us to believe that we need more time, more money, more achievements, to be happy. But Chesterton suggests that perhaps true happiness is not in adding, but in subtracting. By simplifying our lives, we can find space for what truly matters. Great things are, in reality, small things well seen, he writes, emphasizing that the value of life is not in great accomplishments, but in the ability to find meaning and beauty in the small, in the everyday thing. And how does this apply to us today? In a world where success is often measured by the quantity of goods we possess or the prestige we achieve, The idea of simplifying may seem almost counterintuitive. However, it is precisely in simplicity that we find the cure for many of the afflictions that plague us. Simplicity allows us to slow down, reflect, and rediscover the true essence of life. It invites us to rid ourselves of distractions and focus on what really brings us joy and peace. The Bible also offers us a similar view of simplicity as a source of peace. In Philippians 4:6-7, we are exhorted to not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. This passage reminds us that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, is found when we surrender our worries and simplify our approach to life. By doing so, we create space for God to work in our lives, guiding us to what really matters. Chesterton saw simplicity as a path to freedom. Not a freedom from obligations, but an inner freedom that releases us from the weight of unnecessary complexity. This simplicity does not mean renouncing what is important, recognizing what is essential and focusing on it. It is learning to say no to excess and yes to what truly nourishes the soul. In practice, simplifying can mean many things, from letting go of material objects that no longer serve us, to reassessing our priorities and focusing on authentic relationships and meaningful moments. It can also mean finding time for rest, prayer, and contemplation. Chesterton believed that it was in simplicity that we find true joy, a joy that is not fleeting, but lasting and deep. Thus, by stripping away the complexity that the modern world often imposes on us, we discover that simplicity is not a regression but an advance. It is a way of reconnecting with what is eternal, with what truly matters, and in doing so we find healing for our weary souls. Living simply is, ultimately, an act of courage and faith, a choice to focus on what is true, noble, and of good character. Simplicity heals because it brings us back to the essence of life, where we find the peace we so desperately seek. In the frenzy of everyday life, it is easy to lose the sense of wonder, that ability to be amazed by the world around us, which is so natural in childhood. Chesterton, in his works, constantly warns us about the danger of letting life become boring, not because the world around us is uninteresting, but because our perception has been obscured by routine and familiarity. He believed that the real problem of modernity was not the lack of wonders, but the loss of the ability to wonder. The world will not perish for lack of wonders, but for lack of wonder, wrote Chesterton, emphasizing that what makes us lose enthusiasm for life is not the absence of extraordinary things, but the lack of willingness to see them. Think of a child watching a leaf fall from a tree or chasing a butterfly. For them, every little detail is an adventure. Every discovery is a revelation. This ability to see the world with fresh eyes, be surprised by the ordinary, is something that many of us abandon over time. However, Chesterton challenges us to regain this perspective, to see life not as a series of tasks to be completed, but as a journey full of small daily miracles. What happens when we lose this ability to wonder? Life becomes mechanical, dull, like a faded photograph. We begin to see days as mere repetitions, and the things around us lose their charm. We become apathetic, disinterested, and even cynical. Chesterton saw this as one of the greatest tragedies of modern life. He believed that by losing the sense of wonder, we also lose the ability to experience true joy and gratitude. The Bible also calls us to look at the world with eyes that see beyond the superficial. In Matthew 18 verse 3, Jesus teaches us, "Truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven." This passage is not just a reference to innocence, but also to the ability to see life with a pure heart, to marvel at God's creation, and to be delighted with simplicity. Being like a child in this context is a call to regain that sense of awe that many of us have abandoned over time. Regaining wonder is not something that happens automatically. It requires a conscious effort, a desire to slow down and rediscover beauty in small things. Chesterton believed this was possible, and even essential for a full life. He suggested that instead of constantly seeking the new and exciting, we should learn to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. In his words, there are two ways to reach the house of happiness. One is to believe that no matter where you are already home. The other is to go in search of new places and never be satisfied. For him, first was the wisest. We can begin to cultivate this sense of wonder by making small changes in the way we live. Instead of rushing through our days, we can pause to really observe what surrounds us. We can pay attention to how the light enters through the window in the morning, the sound of rain tapping on the roof, or to the smile of a stranger we meet along the way. These are things that, in the midst of the hustle and bustle, we often ignore, but that have the power to reconnect us with the essence of life. Chesterton reminds us that the world is full of wonders, waiting to be discovered. The key is to open our eyes, not to new things, but to see common things in a new way. It's about rediscovering the beauty that has always been there, hidden in plain sight, and letting this rediscovery transform us. Wonder is more than a fleeting emotion. It is an attitude of life, a willingness to see the world with gratitude and reverence. By regaining this ability, we also rediscover joy. Life becomes richer, more full of purpose. We can find peace amid chaos and joy in small things. And so, like children, we can enter the kingdom of heaven, not in some distant, unattainable place, here and now, in the simplicity of everyday life. May we, like Chesterton, see the world with eyes full of wonder, always ready to be enchanted by what is around us. In the tangle of our daily routines, it is easy to lose sight of what really matters. We rush from one task to another, often without noticing the richness of details that each moment offers. However, G.K. Chesterton reminds us, in his deep wisdom, the true beauty of life is not in great achievements or spectacular moments, but in the ordinary, in the everyday, in the small things that make up most of our days. Chesterton had a special gift for perceiving the extraordinary in the simplest things. He believed that the world was full of wonders, but that the modern human being, in his haste and distraction, lost the ability to marvel at them. The world will not perish for lack of wonders, for lack of wonder. This quote invites us to rethink the way we see our daily lives. Instead of seeing routine as something boring or monotonous, Chesterton challenges us to look at it as a vast and fertile field of beauty, waiting to be discovered. The beauty in the ordinary is in all the things we do every day, often without thinking. It is in the first sip of coffee in the morning, which awakens the senses and warms the soul. It is in the gentle breeze that caresses the face during a walk, or in the smile of a stranger we meet along the way. It is in the trivial conversations with friends or family, in which, if we pay attention, we can find profound comfort and connection. Jesus, in his earthly ministry, also valued the ordinary. He often used parables about everyday life to convey eternal truths. In Matthew 13, verse 31-32, he speaks of the mustard seed, a small and seemingly insignificant seed, but which, when planted, grows and becomes a large tree where the birds of the air make their nests. This parable teaches us that even the smallest and most common things can have an extraordinary impact. It is a call not to underestimate the power and beauty of the simple things in our lives. However, our modern society often values spectacle, the exceptional, the grand and flashy. We are constantly encouraged to seek more, to stand out, to achieve things that impress others. But in following this path, we often overlook what really brings peace and satisfaction to the human heart. Chesterton warns us against this mentality, reminding us that it is in the small things that true greatness is revealed. In his words, there is nothing small truly. The whole world is greater than the world we used to know. He encourages us to see greatness in simplicity, to find the extraordinary in the ordinary. The Bible also echoes this message in Ecclesiastes 3:11, where we read, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." This passage reminds us that God has placed beauty in all things, but it is up to us, with attentive eyes and an open heart, to perceive this beauty in our daily lives. It is not about waiting for great moments, but cultivating the ability to see what is already present, here and now. To live this way, we need a shift in perspective. We need to slow down, pay attention, and allow our hearts to be touched by the small joys and beauties that make up our existence. When we do this, we discover that life, in all its simplicity, is incredibly rich and full of meaning. Thus, the invitation from Chesterton and the Scriptures is to rediscover beauty in the ordinary. We do not need great events or achievements to experience the fullness of life. It is all around us, waiting for us to open our eyes and hearts to see. By living with this awareness, we find a new depth in our routines and lasting joy in the small things. As Jesus reminded us in John 10:10, "I have come that they may have life and have it in abundance," and this abundance often manifests in the simple and common things that, when seen with love and gratitude, reveal themselves to be extraordinarily beautiful.